Hey guys, this is Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. Hey, today we're going to talk about my favorite subject, which is sales. All right, we got a great subject for ourselves today, so let's go ahead and get started. It is selling, how to sell life insurance over the phone. What did he say? I said selling, how to sell life insurance over the phone. That's a real good subject. You know, I've been in sales for a long time in one form or capacity, customer service, and I just like to sell stuff. But see, one of the things that I've been able to sell in my life is insurance. And when I say insurance, I mean life insurance. And see, a lot of times when people are wanting to buy insurance, you know, they have different ways. You know, they can go on the internet, they can have somebody stop by their house, or they can have somebody talk to them and get them through the process right over the phone. And I've been in sales for a long time, so I've been able to help people in many different ways. I've done the door-to-door. I've knocked on people's houses, say howdy. I've called people over the phone and set appointments to go out and see folks, and I've been able to help them buy life insurance. And one of the cool things I like about selling life insurance over the phone is that it's a little bit easier. But sometimes it can be a little bit complicated because, see, what you got to do is you got to pick up that phone and dial. And that phone can be kind of heavy sometimes for some folks. And I ain't going to lie, it's been that way for me too. Because when I first started trying to sell life insurance and insurance over the phone, it was like, okay, you got to have what they call a script to help walk you through the process. If you got a decent script and you stick to your script, you get pretty good at it. And see, people, when you call them, especially if it's cold calling, maybe they looked at an ad online, or maybe they did something on Facebook, or they did something somewhere, and you pick up the phone and you're calling these people out the blue. They ain't expecting you. Did you hear me? They ain't expecting you, calling them out of the blue. So what do you got to do? You got to have this kind of personality plus. And what I mean by that is when you call somebody, hi, Mary, and they'll, yeah, who's this? Hey, Mary, this is Gary Lee. I'm over here with this company, whatever, it don't matter. And I was just getting back with you about some information that you may have been trying to research. And they'll go, research? What are you talking about? Well, I know, you was thinking about possibly getting some life insurance. Have you had an opportunity to have somebody walk you through the process to see if we can help you get what you need? And they'll go, because see, a lot of times people who are buying insurance, it ain't normally young folks, it's older folks and people who know that, hey, eventually we're going to pass away. And it's how we want to leave our way. Some folks, especially from my generation, we want to be able to pay our own way. We're not used to people paying our way, so we like to leave a legacy. It may not be a lot, because when you get a little bit older and you're trying to buy some insurance, it ain't as cheap as it is when you're in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s. Once you start hitting them 50, 60, 70, 80, as long as your health is good, well, you get good rates. Okay rates. I shouldn't say good. I mean okay, pretty good. But if you got some issues, they're like tissues, you got high blood pressure, you got situations where you're taking this medication, it can be a little bit more tougher and a little bit more expensive. And there could be some situations where you may have to wait a little longer, up to 2 years, before it goes into full effect. And in this regard, when you're trying to sell some life insurance to somebody, you got to be honest. And I mean, a lot of times you're being recorded, baby. And the reason why you're being recorded, because they want to make sure that you don't take advantage of people and you don't get sued. That's a real good thing. I told you, my name is Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. I'll tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, and all the stuff you ain't thought about when you're talking about trying to sell something. Our topic for today is selling, how to sell life insurance over the phone. Well, the key to success in this regard, I just gave you a little bit of a glimpse, because you got like 10 to 15, 20 seconds to make your case. If you don't, especially if you're cold calling somebody, you may not be able to have an opportunity. Because see, a lot of times we catch people at their worst moments when they ain't expecting us to go, hey, how you doing today? So what we have to do is we have to have this like a duck's back, let the water just ride right off of us, especially when people reject us. When they say, oh, no, I ain't interested. Well, they don't know they're interested because they ain't heard what you got to say. So you got to remember, it's a numbers game. So when you're trying to sell something, or you're trying to sell insurance over the phone, one of the key things you got to remember is, hey, look, they didn't go out searching for this information for no reason at all. Because, see, a lot of times people know that they need some insurance, either it's for them or for their significant other or for the children and stuff like that. And they have did some research, but see, a lot of times, people, they've had this bad experience because of all these damn robocalls all the years, calling and nobody even being there, just start talking and who is there, blah, 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 and so forth. So when you get an opportunity to actually talk to somebody over the phone, it's real good. And if they'll give you some time to share some information, one of the key things is say, look, I know your time is real valuable. Let's just take a few minutes. Let's go over some options and some features so you can make an informed decision. And people are like, oh, okay, I got a little bit of time. See, a lot of times they ain't got much time. I got to go to the doctors. I got to do this. I got to do that. Well, see, if they got those situations where they got to go somewhere, that's all right. What you do is you say, look, listen, you need to take down this information real quick. This is so that nobody can call you besides myself, so we can have a selling conversation. We can have a conversation about what's important to you. Now, if you get fortunate, that ain't always the case. Sometimes you might try to call them back, and they won't never answer the phone. But you get a percentage of people who go, okay, I do need this. I need some help. And if you're kind, I didn't say disrespectful or rude, you just let them know, hey, listen, I'm just here to walk you through the process. And my simple goal today is to make sure that you know exactly how you can benefit, so other folks ain't got to worry about taking care of all that mess when you're gone. And see, people don't like to talk about death, but you know what? It's a reality in everything we do. So when you're talking to customers over the phone about insurance, especially life insurance, you got to be right with them, baby. You got to tell them the truth. You got to be straight with them. Now, you don't talk down to customers, because what you do is you build up a little bit of rapport. Talk a little bit about their family, a little bit about you, and who's going to be taking care of your situation, your needs when you pass away. You got to talk to them like that. Who's going to be the person that you're going to have in charge that's going to take care of your situation, your burial, and all this? Who's going to be that person? And then you write it down, because see, that's a little bit of ammunition you can use as you're going through the process. So when Mary, when you pass away, Miss Margaret, Mary's going to be the person that's going to get the phone call, and she's going to be able to get the insurance that's going to be able to afford to pay for your burial. Does that sound about right? Yes, ma'am. That's right. And see, I tell a lot of customers, hey, you ain't got to get no big old giant policy. You just got to get enough to make sure that when it's time for you to go home, or, that it's going to be enough to cover your burial. It's also going to be a little bit of opportunity money to help them, because, see, they'll have to take off some time from work just to be able to get everything in process. Because people be upset. They be real upset when people pass away. It's the truth. Selling insurance over the phone, it ain't real complicated. Then you got other situations where, hey, you got people calling you. Okay, that's real good. Because, see, if people have an interest, if they've seen an ad on the TV, maybe they saw one on Facebook, maybe they saw one on the internet somewhere, they clicked on it and they called you, you got a better opportunity to make a sell. Now, I'm going to tell you what, it's a higher opportunity than it is to do outbound, but you got to do both, because, see, what happens is sometimes y'all might be too busy and you don't get a chance to talk to those folks, or they only had a minute, but they wanted somebody to call them back, or maybe they needed some information, but they didn't have a lot of time to talk right then. So your whole simple goal is when they call you, is to break it down. Say, listen, I know your time is real valuable, and I need to make sure you're informed about what you're going to invest in, because this is a serious matter. And I know in questions you'll ask, do you already have some insurance? Have you talked to anybody about it? Who's going to be your beneficiary? Who's going to be the person that's going to take care of all of your situations when you pass? And they're going to be like, well, and you take the names down, because, see, when you take the names down, those could also be eventual customers, and also that gives you the capability to say, hey, when Mary, Miss Margaret, when you pass away, Mary's going to be picking up that phone. She's going to be all sad and mad, but what we're going to do is we're going to walk her through the process, so that way she doesn't have to worry about being taken advantage of. She's going to have somebody in her corner to make sure that those funds are available. And you may say, well, they may say, well, I just want to be cremated. Well, that's good. We got policies to cover all that, so that way it's enough. Because, see, what happens is when people find out how much it costs, especially when they're 60, 70, 80s, how much it's going to cost, and they can only get a small amount of insurance up to $5,000, and they go, damn, that's a lot of money. Well, it is a lot of money. A lot of people buy insurance when they're real young, but nobody think they're going to die when they're real young. See, when you get a little bit older, you got issues. They're like tissues. You got to make sure the customer understands that what you're trying to do for them is at least give them a peace of mind. That way they can leave something. Because I got insurance on me. Now, I'm going to tell you what, the reason why I got insurance on me, and listen to this. If you're trying to sell somebody some life insurance and you don't got no insurance, how dare you? How you going to be able to have that conversation about why it's important if you don't even have a piece? You got to have a piece of insurance. You got to own some insurance. You got to have something to say, listen, I understand exactly how you feel. My little son's going to be taking care of my funeral arrangements and all this kind of stuff, but I'm going to be cremated, but I want to leave a little bit for them so that way they'll have a little extra, knowing that, hey, listen, they're going to have to take care of the mortgage. They're going to have to take care of whatever. They're going to have to take care of the taxes for the first year. You got to bring up these things that are going to happen when you pass away, that they get to have to deal with. So by them having to deal with all this stuff, by you having this conversation with them, hey, you want to ask them, hey, you got a piece of paper and a pen, you need to write this information down. And then when you're talking to them about different types of policies and how long they are and for what they have to deal with, because remember, sometimes people have they got a lot of medications and stuff that they're on, and you got to write that staff down, because MIB is going to go behind you and they're going to say, dang, these people they didn't tell us about this. So we're not going to be able to give them the insurance coverage that they thought they were going to get. And see, by having a bunch of different providers and stuff, you can get better rates, you can get better prices. But again, it's all about the health of the customer and their age and so forth. So when you're talking to your people over the phone, you just got to be breaking it down for them. Look, this is based on your good health. And I go, well, I ain't really that healthy. Well, I've got issues. Well, that's okay. Everybody do. Let's go ahead and write down the type of medications. It only takes about 10, 15 minutes. We'll get you through the process. You'll find out what you qualify for. And then in this regard, you can make an informed decision. How's that sound? And they'd be like, okay, well, let's go ahead. By the way, how you spell your last name? That's one of the key things you got to get. See, once you start, you might even have the telephone number. You may have their address. You may have their name and everything. But see, what you do is it's a little hook. You say, let me make sure now, your name is Mary, right? Or is it Margaret? Oh, it's Margaret. Okay. And how you spell that? See, that's a kind of a close. That gives them the information in their brain. Well, this is serious. Let me go ahead and get this information out to them. And by the way, how do you spell your last name? That's a real big one. And then you say your address is what? 2132 blah, blah. And I noticed that your date of birth. Now, I want to make sure this date of birth is correct. 12/15 of 2039 or whatever. And they'll go, yes. See, what you're doing is you're engaging the customer. You're having a conversation. You're letting them talk themselves into a purchase. Because, see, they don't just look online and try to get insurance without somebody giving them a reason why they should buy. You got to ask simple questions. And listen, guys, my name is Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. Hey, listen, I can do some more videos on this because I don't have a lot of time, but this particular subject is very important. You got to ask for the order. You give them 2 or 3 things. You say, hey, you want this for $20,000. You can get it for $80 a month. You can get this for blah, blah. You got the different steps. You got to give them a choice. And if you give them a choice, they're more inclined to go probably with the middle one. They don't want to go with the cheapest or the most expensive, but they go with the one that's affordable. And you got to make sure that, hey, they're the person that you're talking to, and you got to make sure they have means to be able to buy insurance because, see, and this is the key to success. You want them to keep it. And you say, listen, if you need to get in touch with me or anything in this regard, make sure you take down this telephone number and you have access to me. My name is Gary Lee Stanley. We just had a simple conversation about some techniques and some ideas on how to sell a life insurance over the phone. But see, here's the key. You got to believe in it. If you don't have any life insurance on yourself or your family members, how you going to be honest and tell them, hey, you should buy it when you don't even believe in it? My name is Gary Lee Stanley. We just had that very simple conversation about selling insurance over the phone. It ain't real complicated, but see, people are dying to see us, or maybe they're dying to hear from us, and we got to make sure, because see, listen, if they were to pass away and we didn't help them get no insurance, shame on us. So do your best. Go out there and sell something, but if you ain't asking for the order, you ain't selling. Did you want to go ahead and get that? do me a favor, go out there and sell something, a little fist bump, boom, boom. You got this, so go out there and sell something. And remember, selling insurance over the phone, it's a really good job. So go out there and sell something. All right.